I'm short. This is not made for a short person. All right, and here we go.
You're listening to Radio Cosmos.
All night long.
Bravo! My compliments, little lady.
Break for 30 seconds.
You're now listening to BaaD Radio.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio as we launch into our second hour. I'm going to run through all the regular info for those who may have just joined us. I am Angela Smarito, your host, and we've got our producer up in the box over here, Melissa Fox.
You said the fox in the box?
I like the fox in the box.
Hi. How you doing?
That one's
We
going to
love it.
stick.
Oh, gosh.
You started it.
And next we have my good friend Melissa.
Hello.
Jacob.
Other Melissa, yes.
I know we have two Melissas, but they both are so special and so different. But this Melissa is our co-host, but she's also a videographer. So I said it before and I'll say it again. She does an amazing job with all of the BaaD Radio videos. And if you go to baadradio.com, you can see all of our previous videos.
Yes.
You can also check out all of her other work at strikingbrand.com. And this portion of BaaD Radio is brought to you by Ground Up Property Services. Are your roots needing a touch-up? And I'm not talking about your hair. What about your grass? At Ground Up Property Services, we can make sure your grass roots are doing well underground and give your lawn that just stepped out of the salon look. So we talked about this before, and actually, I'm going to give you some pictures because Rick Hall sent me some before and afters.
Nice.
So when we do this, you can actually put it up. But you can give Rick a call at 407-468-4295. And again, so he has an irrigation company, so he can take care of your lawn service. Actually, this is a good contact. Do you know Rick?
I know Rick. He's
Okay.
done my property.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, then there you go. Yeah, Rick is a sponsor of the show. He's been, just real quick, he's actually somebody that helped. He's the one who gave me the idea for doing the show in the first place. He and I were having just a regular one-to-one and networking meeting, and we were sitting at Starbucks over on in Longwood, and we were talking about Business at a Distance, the Facebook group, and he was the one. He just was like, "Why don't you do your own show?" And I was like, "Haha," He goes, "I mean, you should."
It's like I was serious.
And I was like, "Well, I have to get it sponsored." He goes, "I'd sponsor it," and he still is.
So nice.
So he's a wonderful human being. He's like one of the kindest people I've ever met. And actually, like I said, I wanted to talk a little bit right now. I said to Melissa earlier, I was like, I talk about other people's businesses so much, and this is something that so BaaD Radio is like my business, right? I mean, this is but I also have what I call my day job. And so I am the director of business development for an agency called Mindful Media Group, right? And so what we do is we place media on businesses' behalfs. And my job is to basically go out and get those companies that are going to say, okay, this is what our budget is, and then we will find the perfect media outsource.
So you
for them.
place it. So you advertise like in different areas. So what sorts of different places do businesses?
Well, I mean,
advertise?
as far as like the advertising that we place, it's radio. So it's also television. It's digital. It's outdoor. I mean, it's digital is a huge piece of it. And my boss, Crystal, has taught me so much about the digital opportunities that are out there like when I think about digital, the first thing that comes to my mind is Facebook ads, right? But that's just like the bare minimum of how many digital opportunities there are if you think about it. But one thing that I wanted to talk about not real quick, but for just this part is something that I'm working on right now. We had a guest on a couple weeks ago, Brooke Bolts, and she's an attorney, and what she does is she works on claims, like homeowners' claims. So a hurricane comes, your house gets damaged. The first thing that happens is your insurance company denies your claim. It's just like standard practice.
Yeah. We don't feel like paying.
Right. So, then you have to, and it's kind of like, okay, that's going to happen. And so lots of times you have to get help, whether you go to a public adjuster or you get an attorney involved. So recently, there has been a law that's been passed. And what that law has done is really hurt the homeowners in that homeowners' fees are no longer able to be covered by insurance claims. So if you hired an attorney and an attorney went and got you all the money that you needed to fix your house in the past, you could also, those attorney's fees would be paid. Now, with the new law, that's not going to happen anymore. So in order to hire an attorney, somebody has to be able to have enough money to pay cash or to pay for that attorney's fee.
Right. So you're never going to get enough money to pay for what you need to have fixed because part of that's always going to get taken out. And,
If you have to hire an attorney.
Right.
So it's honestly, it's a horrible, it's a horrible thing to happen to the state of Florida. And it's a horrible thing to happen to homeowners. And so what I'm kind of looking for right now is I want connections. I'm looking for connections with claims attorneys. I'm looking for connections with roofers, with contractors. I'm looking for everybody that is actually hit with what are we going to do now? Because
the flashback.
I don't know what you're
Jesus, I knew it. Never mind.
But what I'm trying to say is, like, right now, a lot of people are not concerned about it because their insurance policy. So this is who it affects. This affects all new policies written as of January 1 and after. So if you're still, like, right now, my homeowner's policy was like renewed in October. So I'm fine through October. So, but after, you know what I mean? After October, when I have a new one, then these new laws will apply to me. So I'm saying this because I'm actually looking for people to reach out to me and be like, well, this is an alternative. This is something that can be done. Because I'm actually looking for some solutions.
Right.
I have a voice. I have a radio show.
So you want to share it?
I want to share. I want to tell people, hey, keep an eye on this because it's going to affect you, especially come hurricane season. I mean, this is going to be huge for anybody that's got a new policy. When a hurricane comes and your insurance company denies your claim, you're going to have to pay out of pocket. Yeah.
And we were talking about earlier that not a lot of people even know about it unless you're, you know an attorney who's affected by the backlash is the word I was thinking.
Backlash? Okay. I was like,
I got there.
I would have helped you, but I wasn't quite sure.
You're all good. So people don't even know about it. So it's important to even let people know.
Yes. And then also, it also affects, what we lovingly call AOBs. And what AOB is it's an assignment of benefits. And the first thing that everybody does is go, oh, no, assignment of benefits is bad. And you know what? Assignment of benefits can be bad. But what an AOB is when you are working with a contractor, let's say, and the contractor says, here, sign this. And what this does is this lets me negotiate directly with your insurance company on your behalf. So you're kind of signing away your rights to this claim and this money. So even when it comes to the money part, they can take your money and run. And that's why AOBs have gotten a bad rap in the past, is that there's a lot of bad companies out there that have taken advantage of homeowners with these AOBs. So no matter what the purpose of something is, it can have the best of intentions, but somebody's going to go out there and turn it bad. That's just the way it is. That's
Take
human
advantage of
nature.
Yeah.
You're like kind of smiling at me, Tony. Do you have experience in all of this?
I don't have experience, but I've met some of those people.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So, all right. So where was I at with that? Oh, so the AOB. So AOBs are gone. So no more. So you can no longer have a roofing company or a restoration company, because that's how they work a lot, is a restoration company. And in the state of Florida, we have so many storms that these AOBs played a really huge role in helping homeowners get what they deserve. So, like I said, that's out the door. So, as I kind of go on this like tyrant about it, it's because I'm feeling very passionate about it. And with Mindful Media Group, we are working on a statewide campaign to bring awareness to Floridians. And so that's what I'm saying is that I'm looking for connections. I'm looking for companies that want to get involved with this awareness program. And you can reach me at angela@mindfulmg.com. You can also reach me at 321-303-6424. And again, there's a lot of moving pieces to this campaign, but ultimately, I mean, it's going to happen. It's just, like I said, it's whether or not I'm looking for people to want to be a part of it. So definitely reach out to me, and that's going to be my plug for myself.
Yes, do it.
All right. So when we get back, we are going to talk with Tony. He is our guest today with Auto Loan. Or auto lawn. Loan. Why is it so easy? I want to say loan.
I have no money to loan out.
All right, we'll be back.
You're listening to BaaD Radio. Mm-hmm.
I didn't even introduce you. Did I?
No.
Oh,
No.
no, she didn't. That's okay.
Well, you're getting introduced when we get back.
Auto Lawn of Orlando. Auto Loan.
Auto loan. That's a hard.
I'm going to have a bunch of people calling me up. Hey, what's your rates?
Yeah.
Auto loan of Orlando.
Auto Lawn.
Lawn.
Hang on.
Lawn.
Hold on. Let me
Say
just
it
do
three
this.
Yeah.
times real fast.
Lawn.
Here you
Hang
go.
on. Let's do this.
Give you a business card. Just in case.
Well, normally, Tony, during that first segment, I would introduce you, but I completely didn't. So sorry
In
about
case you go
that.
down on a- I still
it.
have people calling me Mobot, which is what it used to be.
Mobot.
Uh-huh. Are we allowed to talk about that?
Okay.
Not that we won't say their name, but I'd like to talk about how you got into it.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Okay.
I'll take you through that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I even, I'll talk about how I originally was with the franchise.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I mean. But no name.
You don't have to drop a name to talk bad about people. All right, stand by.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, and this portion of the show is brought to you by Rachel Roach Realtor. She's a Coldwell Banker Realtor. With a sea of realtors out there, choose the one that thinks about you first and not their commission. You can reach Rachel at 407-252-4566. So I totally zoned on at the first segment, and I did not introduce our guest. So I am so sorry about that. So this is Tony Smith, owner of Auto Lawn of Orlando.
Hello.
I got it right that time.
You got it right.
It is hard, though. How hard is it to say auto lawn versus auto loan?
I know. When you see those commercials, it mess you up.
Okay. So welcome to the show, Tony. Tony and I met, was it 2 years ago?
It's almost 2 years ago.
Okay. And he posted in Business at a Distance, and I was so intrigued by what you had posted. So how would you say it in layman terms what your business is?
So we are the Roomba for your yard. We do robotic mowing. So think of a Roomba in your house, how you never have to worry about it. It just does its business. Our robotic mowers stay outside and they take care of your lawn.
Okay, so the first thing I think of is a robot mowing a lawn. So that's not really the case, though, right?
It doesn't quite look like a robot. It actually looks like a very large Roomba.
Right. So there's so many questions. I meant from, landmines to like rainstorms. But first, let's talk about how you got in, a little bit about you.
So a little bit about me. I spent 30 years in the corporate arena doing a bunch of different jobs.
I remember like publishing.
Yeah, and my most recent job before getting into this, I actually worked for Scholastic Book Fairs,
Okay.
which is based out of
Yep.
Lake Mary. Great company, great opportunity. We had some business changes, which we know what happens in that. Some people get affected. My role got affected, and it just happened to be 2 weeks before the country locked down for COVID. So there wasn't a whole lot of jobs out there, so I went after a lifelong dream of doing my own business.
So many people did that
During
So
COVID.
many people, yes.
But you know how much I love that, though, right? Just saying, you know what? Let's do it.
Right.
Well, yeah, I think you reach a point in your life, and you're like, you know what? There's no better time than the present to try it. My kids were finishing up college, so I had the opportunity to look at something different.
Love it. Okay, so tell us how you found this.
So actually, when I had left Scholastic, I looked at doing my own consulting work. I did a little bit of that, and I also looked at buying a business
Like through franchise.
actually just buying an outright business through a broker. So I looked at businesses that were already established, and then I also looked at franchises because I used to be in the franchising world.
Well, we had a franchise broker on the show before, and it was fascinating.
Yeah, it's I think franchises are really great for people who want a very I guess cookie cutter, systemized way of doing
structured
business.
way,
A
yeah.
structured way.
Well, it takes away some of the risk.
Yeah, definitely. If they're already established and know what works.
Yeah, they have processes and signage and graphics and
Right. not starting from the ground. Yeah, that's like a
I
good
think
advantage.
I think it's a good solution
Yeah,
for a lot of
100%.
people. When I came across this one, actually, I had a franchise broker who had presented me a bunch of different franchise formats, anywhere from Spengo, which was like a workout place, to a trash dumpster that literally like smashes the trash in the dumpsters.
Ooh, that sounds like fun.
It actually was kind of fun.
Well, I've known people that have looked at gutters, that stretch labs. I know somebody that opened a stretch lab here. I mean, there's a chicken cone. Actually,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
a
he's from up
franchise.
north. Yeah,
I'm just trying to think of
Yeah.
all the different
Well,
ones.
there's so many different franchise
had no
formats.
idea.
I
Yeah.
looked at one that was a music daycare because my wife is a music teacher in Seminole County.
Really?
I looked at that, but I couldn't envision that I could do that properly. And I also looked at a drip bar, if you know what a drip bar is.
Is that like what oxygen bar?
like IVs.
You actually literally go in to get an IV
Yeah.
if you're not
That's
feeling well.
really popular
Yeah.
right now. Hungover.
That is yes.
Migraines, stuff like that. Yep.
And the fact that that you had to make sure that you had the nurses, which I knew was going to be a tight labor market. I'm like, that probably isn't the right one. And then my broker came to me and said, well, have you ever heard of the franchise called MoBot? It was a robotic mowing company. And I looked at that, and having grown up on a farm in Iowa, and I love spending out time outside working, and I love helping people out, meeting folks. It was the right combination, add the technology. And they were a young franchise, so I thought I could bring some of my experience from the corporate arena. So I actually was with them for about a year, and then we actually parted ways, and now Auto Lawn of Orlando, we are independent. We work directly with the manufacturers.
Okay, so let's talk about the technology for a minute. When you started with the franchise, was everything perfected?
So the robotic mowing, when I started with the franchise, had been around for over 25 years.
What?
Really?
Husqvarna, which is a Swedish-based company, they actually had the robotic mower out before the Roomba came on the market.
Wow.
But Roomba, did a lot of advertising.
I was going to say, they must have had an awesome marketing person.
They had an incredible marketing person. And it's, the Roomba's a lot cheaper than a robotic mower. Although robotic mowers are in line with traditional mowing. So the technology was very refined, and they just continue refining it. In the less than 3 years that I've been with them, we now have wireless mowers. We have mowers that actually have cameras on them that they can actually see if there's an object in front of them, and a remote person can actually observe what's going on. Oh, is it a dog in front of me, or is it somebody laying on a
Yeah, big pile.
blanket?
You know what?
Yeah.
That's what I.
Yeah, and those piles, they don't bother the mower.
Do they mow around it, or do they just mow right over
They,
the top? of it?
they pretty much mow over it.
I was going to say mow around it. That would be
It depends
hilarious.
it depends on how big your dog is,
Right.
how dirty it gets.
All right. So walk us through the process of like getting one established. Okay. First of all, who's your target market?
So the target market, we have residential, commercial, and municipalities. I like to tell her, basically if there's grass, in all likelihood, we have a solution that will work.
Okay.
So there's different types of mowers for different types of situations. You have you think of overpasses, right? And
Oh,
you got
right.
very steep, well, that's a certain type of mower.
Okay.
You have a flat soccer field. Well, that's a different type of mower. So presently we have residential properties, we have commercial properties, and we mow for school districts. We mow for city parks. We mow on city ball fields.
Really?
And so, it's really, I think it's people who are looking to want to make sure that they have a good looking lawn, and they want to take care of it in the most, eco-friendly manner possible. That's really the people that I think migrate towards this type of technology.
All right. So say, okay, I'm interested. I'm a homeowner. I live in Winter Springs. Let's walk through the process.
Yeah. So the process, when somebody is interested, I
You come to their house, right?
I meet people through meetings. I get calls. So what I typically ask of them is, one, what's the address, so I can look at it on Google.
Like an
Because
aerial type view.
An aerial view. If they're not in a gated community, I can look at Google Earth, so I can get street level views, because what I want to make sure is that the product will actually work on their lawn. Not every lawn does it work for.
That's interesting.
Okay.
That's was going to be what I was wondering.
Yeah, but usually the lawns that it doesn't work on is because they don't have irrigation and it's very sandy, and it's just
Okay.
It just is whatever grass nature grows
But
there.
obstacles aren't a big thing.
Obstacles are not an issue because the mowers actually have sensors on them.
Mm-hmm.
They'll either bump into the obstacle and go a different direction, or in some cases, it sees the obstacle and it goes around it.
Mm-hmm.
And in some of them, the mower will stop and actually send out a human voice, please clear the pathway.
Oh, cool.
So, and
Can you change
cool.
the accent?
I need to ask that question. That would be
let's
good.
see. And I was going to ask you when you're talking about
Hang on,
obstacles.
what's that?
sorry.
Are we okay? Or nope, we're going to break.
Dang it.
Go ahead and ask the
Next
question,
time.
and then we'll answer it when he gets back.
I was just going to ask if it breaks like sprinkler heads, because that always happens with lawn mowing.
Don't answer
Don't
it.
answer it yet.
Hold
it's a
that
teaser.
thought. We'll be right back to find out that answer and more questions coming. It's BaaD Radio. Business at a distance on News Radio WFLA Orlando.
So each segment is 10 minutes. So that 10 minutes goes pretty fast. Am I keeping my answers brief enough?
Oh, you're totally
Okay.
fine. No, this is fun. So we have 2 more.
Okay.
So we just let her do her little camera thing.
Does this use GPS geofencing?
It does.
Uh-huh.
Ooh, ask that question too, when
Yeah,
because I couldn't remember geo-tracking. What?
Geofencing, geotracking, but geofencing. Think about a fence and GPS.
Well, and I think, it's like, how does it work in your yard? I mean, because there's different ways, and that's
Right.
where GPS geofence comes in.
It's the new thing, you know. All right. Stand by.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
And we are back, and this portion of BaaD Radio is brought to you by Liberty Property Inspections. LibertyPropertyInspections.net, helping you protect your investment. All right, so we're coming back for that answer to that riveting question. What is it
Yes,
again?
sorry. So I was asking because I have friends who have lawn mowing services, and the individuals will run over their sprinklers, and they are constantly having to fix sprinklers and argue about who broke it. So things like that. So I was wondering if it's a robot, like how does that handle?
Great question. We can do it one of two ways.
I always like it when people say "great question" because I'm like, okay, good job.
Either we can schedule it to work around the sprinkler timing, or we can, with some of the mowers, they can just bump into it because they're not moving very fast when they're mowing. And because they have sensors on there, they'll sense the resistance that the sprinkler head is pushing back on, and they'll just stop and go a different direction.
Oh, nice. Just like a
So,
Roomba.
Just like a Roomba. I mean, we've had rare situations, and I say rare, I think it's only happened one time in almost 3 years, where the sprinkler came up right at the time when the mower went over. Didn't hurt the sprinkler, but the mower was just going in circles because it was holding it up. So no damage.
Well, that's good. Melissa, what was the question that you had asked?
I was wondering about geofencing for our more tech-savvy listeners out there.
What does that mean?
So that's a great question. Geofencing is all about, setting up a perimeter for wherever a device, in this case a robotic mower, is located. And if the mower goes outside of that geofence, what happens?
An alarm, maybe?
An alarm.
Okay.
So these mowers, they all have alarms on them. So if somebody tries to pick it up, it's going to set off an alarm.
Interesting.
That'll detract most people. In the almost 3 years that I've been doing this, I have had 2 mowers stolen. And I had them back within 48 hours because it sends me a message on my app, and it would send a homeowner the message on their app.
Right.
I just call up the local authorities, and I've actually been on some very interesting police busts.
You have to tell
back.
us. You have to tell us about this, though.
Well, the one that was the most interesting was we actually went to a dilapidated crack house. Somebody had stolen a mower.
It was just like they saw in somebody's yard, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna take that."
It was actually in a city park. They took the mower and it went back. It was in a dilapidated crack house, and we found it inside, and it was literally 5 officers with guns drawn. And I was like, it's a robotic mower.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a hostage situation.
Yeah.
Well,
don't-
it was,
Yeah.
and it was interesting because when I first met the officers, the first question they asked me was, so we need to know, do you want to press charges if we find it? And I had never met this situation before, and I was like, well, what does that mean?
Well, what does one cost? I mean, how much does that piece of equipment cost?
For them, they can be above $2,000.
Oh, well,
so they're
then,
not
yeah,
cheap.
yeah.
So, and I said, well, before I answer the question, why are we asking this? He says, well, I want to know because if we find the mower and they take off, we need to know if we need to follow pursuit.
Mm-hmm.
Like we need to chase them down.
Mm-hmm.
And I just told him, I said, it's a robotic mower.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just interested in getting it back.
Yeah. Just give me my stuff back.
Give me my stuff back. But yeah, you can recover them. They operate off of that geofence. So if somebody takes it outside of the property, they know about it. And we do have mowers that actually operate wirelessly. So
But wouldn't they all be wireless? I mean,
no, there's some of the mowers they actually have a wire in the ground. So when we install the mower, there's actually so think a dog fence, an electric dog
Right.
fence. So basically, it's the same concept.
okay.
But we also now have virtual fences. So we don't even have to put wires in the ground.
This is so cool. All right, let's go back to our scenario. So you check out my house on Google Maps, you see the yard. And so
Yep.
then you make an appointment, come see me.
Yeah, the first thing I want to do is make sure that it's going to work. You know, in most cases, I come and I actually visit the property because I want to look at it, just visually see it to make sure that it's going to work. And it's an opportunity to explain more about the mowers to the customer. And we can have a good dialogue about, what are they trying to solve for?
What kind of situations would it not work?
If there's very narrow areas between houses,
Okay.
some of these developments, there's like
Cram 'em in.
There's 6 feet between the houses. Right?
Yeah, no, that's true. And we have a fence. We have a fenced-in backyard. What do you do about that?
So we actually have fence doors that we can actually make a hole in the fence,
Oh,
and it's
cool.
it's like a little it's like,
a
little doggy
door.
flap,
Oh, that's so cute.
and the mower just goes through that door, mows the front yard, and comes back. And it's actually safe for pets because when the door closes, it actually locks.
That's so
It just senses it from the.
The mower, it's all the electronics. It
That's
knows
awesome.
it knows that the mower's there. The mower pushes the door open, and the door just flaps behind it and
This is
locks
so
shut.
cool. So okay, so you sell me the thing. So do I buy the equipment or how does that work?
You can either buy it or actually in the Orlando area, we have a lot of people that rent.
Okay, is that what most people do? You said.
We probably a good 50% of the people want to rent it because they're unsure of the technology. It's something new. It's something different.
I would probably want to initially too. And the cost?
The cost is similar to your typical lawn care service. So anywhere from $100 a month for a home to if you're a big, large property with an acre or more, it might be $150 because it's a different mower.
Mm-hmm. But does that equipment live on the property?
It lives on the property if you're renting. And then there's a nominal installation fee for our putting the wire in and the day that it takes us to put it in.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody's purchasing them, the typical cost starts at about $2,100 for a mower.
Okay, I choose the renting option, and then what do we do? You kind of size me for one based off of my lawn.
Well, yeah, based upon the size of your lawn, I tell you which mower it's going to take and what the monthly charge is.
Mm-hmm.
And if that works, we schedule a date. I come out, and like I said, typically I can install within the day.
That's really cool. Do you have a little doghouse that it lives in and
Oh.
it comes out when it's ready?
I'm gonna want to name it now.
I know.
You
I
you
would.
can. There's that, but it doesn't need it. It stays outside.
Oh, really? And
yeah.
the elements.
The
and everything.
elements it can
Oh.
handle it.
Like a neglected dog. Got
I
it.
would see. I would be like, it needs a home. Give it a
Oh.
little house.
Yeah, there's a lot of different style houses. We actually make some ourselves. We buy some from our manufacturer, and we even have an Italian manufacturer that has really high end.
Ooh,
So
fancy.
and people will do it all different types.
So when you said to use size for the lawn or see what is it because of different types of terrain or is it different different size actual machines to be able to
Mhm. Yeah, it's actually different machines. So there's some people have a small 5,000 square foot total yard, and then some people have an acre and a half.
Right.
So we put on the small ones one of our smallest machines, and then on the larger properties we put a larger one. And those are more expensive. And the terrain as well. If you have some very steep terrain, then we actually use a 4-wheel drive model.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah, that one's
With
that
chains
one's a fun
on the
one.
tires.
Yeah.
Well, how many different models are there to choose from?
Boy, there are at least 25 different manufacturers of robotic mowers. We carry 4 of those manufacturers because I have some of the best manufacturers, so that we make sure that we're fitting the needs of our customers. But yes, there's just in ours we probably have easily 15 different models.
And so tell me about your particular clients. Like, what's your biggest account? Not, you don't have to say specifically, but you can say like a ball field or like a public park or.
Yeah, really, it's school district is
Okay.
Sizing up to be one of our biggest accounts because they really like the technology. They like how it is solving for some of the labor issues because they're having a tough time finding workers to do that type of work, and that happens to be customers of ours as well as lawn care companies that are having a tough time finding people.
No, that is so true. Okay, so so this is the actual just cutting the lawn. Do people get like, what about like the edging and all that other stuff? This is just straight up mowing, right? So a lot of people do their own.
A lot of people do their own. We have other companies that will, recommend to them. In some instances, we'll do it ourselves. But it's really that's what we have the meeting with the customer to find out what are they trying to solve for.
That music means that we're going to go to break again, right? So we're going to keep this conversation going with Tony with Auto Lawn.
Good job.
All right,
That's a
stay
close one.
tuned.
Auto Lawn, now available with LoJack. Seriously. BaaD Radio will return. You're listening to News Radio WFLA Orlando.
That's great. Oh yeah, when I went and did this, it was something. And they literally had gun. Oh yeah, they had guns to be drawn. Actually, when we found it, it was pinging because it pings where it is.
I thought he said peeing.
And it shows one house on my app, and they couldn't find anything in that one. And then I said, well, can I look in here? So this was boarded up, but there was a little window open, and the officer had looked through there. He's like, and there was liquor bottles lined up on the sill, and he's like, down in Orlando, and he's like, oh well, there's nothing going on in there. I said, do you mind if I take a look in there? So he gave me his flashlight, and I'm looking. in
Playing
there.
detective.
Well, in hindsight, 2020, I should never done that because somebody could be in there with a gun. And
You
sure
don't think
enough,
about stuff
I see
at times.
I see the mower in there, and I'm like, it's right in there. That was a production.
Was there any people in there? Or
Yeah,
did
they ended up bringing out 2 people. And it was,
Did they damage the unit?
It was, but I had it back up and going. But it was 2 people that were older, that were crackheads, and just don't do anything with it.
Yeah.
Okay, stand by. Final segment.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
And we are back, and I wanted to give a huge thank you to our sponsors, Bolts Legal, 33 tanning spa with locations in Altamont Springs and Longwood, Andrews Law PA, our auto accident attorney, and Crazy Muscle Nutrition in Longwood, who we had Zach in here today. He was the gentleman, the buff guy that I knew him when he was like that big. He wasn't always that big. So we are back for our last segment. It's crazy. I mean, how the 2 hours goes. He
Always
said,
does.
Tony was like, that was 10 minutes. It goes so fast.
I know.
But Tony is here with Auto Lawn of Orlando, and the best way that we can describe what his business is, it's like the Roomba for your lawn. So we're going to jump in with that. Like I said, there's so many questions. Okay, so weather, is that an issue?
Weather's not an issue. It can mow in the rain, mows after the rain, does not leave ruts in the yard like traditional mowing does.
Do you have to charge it every day?
The mower goes back to its charging station on its own, so it stays charged and goes out on its own.
Awesome.
Can you control it with your phone?
You can change some of the settings with your phone, but you're not operating it like a video machine or a video game.
How many colors does it come? I'm just kidding.
This is like power question.
I know, right? I had one. I have two though.
Okay, go.
We can wrap it, and I just wrapped one, and I actually have one wrapped as a turtle. Two of them wrapped as a
That's
turtle.
fantastic.
That's cute.
Okay. My question was, how often do you have to get it sharpened, the blades? How's that
Oh,
work?
yeah.
When it's part of our rental service, we come out every 3 months and we change out the blades as part of the rental service.
Is there an option to paint my lawn green on there as well? Because some of my neighbors do that, and I'm not sure I want to keep up.
If you want to paint your lawn green, actually, I think Rick Hall can.
He
paint-
does.
He can actually paint your
I've
lawn.
got somebody for you.
Wow, I love Italian.
What are some of the not barriers, but what are some of the reasons why people will think that this isn't going to work?
Yeah, I think, some people, they're concerned about how they're going to do some of the other things because they don't know edge, they don't do the trimming, they don't do your hedges. So again, that's what we try to help solve for when we go to the initial meeting. A lot of people think that the cost is going to be a barrier until I walk them through the economics, that it's fairly similar to what you currently pay. And once people realize that the difference with these robotic mowers is it provides you with a perfectly cut lawn at all times.
That's
the,
really
the
awesome.
lawn is always mowed.
The lawn never is going to call in sick either, or get a flat tire,
Oh,
or
that's true.
maybe it will get a flat tire, but
Well,
not
I mean,
not for an excuse not to show up.
Everything breaks down,
Yeah, yeah.
right? But that's what we're there for, to get it fixed. And as part of the rental, we're out there fixing that mower, or we bring you a different one if we can't get it up and going again.
So what do? You take the mower and you take the lawn and you put in like the route that it's going to take.
So actually, with these mowers, they actually learn the yard. They have a memory. So
Man,
there's a
this is
map.
like way too
Wow, I
Terminator
know.
for me. I mean, it's like
It's-
Cyberdyne's coming after us, and it's going to start with lawnmowers.
They are very technologically advanced.
So it's a learning mower, but you have to give it like a start, don't you?
No, actually, whether it's the virtual boundary or the wire boundaries, it knows this is the area that I'm supposed to be mowing in, and it goes and it mows in a randomized pattern so that you don't see, your lawn all marked up. But we do have models for like sports fields where it actually can be what they call systematic mowing. So it's the traditional back, forth, back,
Right.
forth.
Oh, I know
And-
some people are like sticklers for that.
Yeah, so we've got the models that are going to be able to do that as well. But you yourself as a homeowner do not have to do anything about teaching it where to go.
Is there a limit on how many times it can run in a week?
No, it's really just the size of the mower that we put versus the lawn. Now, one of the things that we do is you don't want to overmow your lawn, right?
It's bad for your lawn.
It's bad for your lawn. It'll compact it, especially if it's St. Augustine, because St. Augustine, doesn't handle the traffic. So one of the things that we do is we help educate the customers, or we control it ourselves, of reducing the schedule at this time of the year and increasing it as we start to get into the April
summer
timeframe,
months.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's what That's what we're in right now. Every other week, right? In the winter, people.
Yeah, a traditional mowing mows it every other week. With a robotic mower, it just means that you're maybe only going out twice a week with a robotic mower, because a mower only weighs about 35, 40 pounds.
Okay.
So it's not going to do any damage.
Does it look like a traditional mower?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
I have to see this. I think that
It's
like
on the card.
Huh?
It's on the card.
Yeah.
You got
Right on the card.
Yeah, it looks like a Roomba thing.
It's a big old room.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Can you guys see that? See that? That's pretty cool, huh?
That looks neat. Yeah.
But you said there's a bunch of different. But they all kind of look like that.
Yeah, most of the robotic mowers look like that on the market, although there are some companies that are taking a little bit different approach to what the look is. But at the end of the day, any robotic mower for residential and light commercial is going to be probably maximum 3 foot long by no bigger than 2 foot wide, which is, think a push mower, but smaller.
Right. Okay. That makes good sense. And then, like, as the homeowner, I can say I like it cut really short or long, or is there like a standard that?
No,
it
I
can
mean
work?
the mowers have a variance of what they can mow from. So we can go all the way from 0.8 inches, or like fairways on a golf course, all the way up to 4 inches for St. Augustine.
And how do you? I mean, how are you promoting this business? Because it is very unique. You have to. But I was talking to my husband yesterday, and I was like, listen, he's still here and he's still doing this. We ran into each other at the Seminole County Chamber Expo, and I was like, hey, it's been a minute. But like I said, so you're doing well.
So we come on to shows like BaaD Radio.
Mm-hmm.
No, in all seriousness.
Yeah.
It's been word
It's
of
a
mouth.
lot of word of mouth.
It's a lot of word of mouth. Because this, takes a little bit to explain. We've had challenges with traditional advertising methods. And so I've kind of backed up and said, you know what, it's going to be word of mouth. It's going to be through the networking. And I think, it really is something like this. It helps educate the customers.
Absolutely, and I think it's going to have to be a video element. I think that a video element would be huge.
So people can see it and know like how it's working. Yeah, get their mind around it.
Our next step is really ramping up our social media with the videos.
Because, like I said, I think that would be huge. Like, and what I want to do is I want to go like to your website or something and like get a link of one of the videos that's on there so I can share it in Business at a Distance. Because I think that would be just a big selling point. Because, like I said, I can think of all these reasons why it wouldn't work, but then I'm like, it really would work, especially now that I have a visual, conceptual of what it looks like.
Right.
It's not heavy. It's not like I keep thinking of like the mower that Aiden mows, like my son mows our lawn with, and it's like.
And there's so many advantages. Like even when you were talking, I was thinking about we have someone who does our lawn care. We have dogs. So you mentioned you have the little door. The first couple times that we had the lawn people come and service our lawn, they left the back gate open.
Yes.
And we didn't know it. So we got posted on our neighborhood Facebook page, like pictures of our dogs, like, hey, whose wild animals are just running around, and did it 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
And so like with that, you wouldn't have to worry about that.
No, there's a lot of advantages. And I think that, like, in this particular thing, sometimes I'm just like, sometimes people just don't want to deal with other people. So if you can hire a robot to do it, you don't have to worry about anything else.
Yeah.
Well, and over in Europe, there's 2 million of these things just from Husqvarna. So about some countries.
2 million what?
2 million of these robotic mowers operating in Europe.
Okay.
So you've got some countries in Europe where 30% of the lawns are being handled by robotic mowers.
Really?
So it's really an adoption curve in the U.S., and we're at the beginning cusp of it right now.
Oh, that's fun. I like being at the beginning cusp because that means that we can just like put it on blast. So
Husqvarna, that's the place that you just mentioned. That's where they're made.
Yeah, Husqvarna Sweden is, and Husqvarna is the name of the company.
Okay. I just noticed on the card it said 25 years of innovating robotic mowers. So
I just think it's crazy.
Yeah.
That's like
That's
a long time.
Yeah.
Before we leave, I'd love to know how to get a hold of these things so I can get one for myself.
No problem. So the easiest way to reach me is 407-340-3377. That is my direct cell phone. If you want to email, it's twsmith66@outlook.com. Okay. And our website is autolawnoforlando.com.
Is this address right here? This
Yes.
email is still
Yes,
good
and
on
that
there?
one works too.
Yeah, so this is Tony S. at autolawnorlando.com. All right, so that means that this show is over just about. But thank you for being part of BaaD Radio today, and we'll be here next week, same time, same place.
You want to be on BaaD Radio? Go to baadradio.com. BAAD radio.com. See you next week.
Love her so much. Says all the right things.
I can learn a lot from that lady.
I know.
That was fun. I know it goes by fast, doesn't it?
That was fun. Well, and I always want to make sure that my answers are short and sweet for you.
But no, that's just like whenever the first year of BaaD Radio was 1 hour, and I had 2 guests in that 1 hour time slot. So every guest only got a 15-minute segment because it was actually 3 segments of like 12 to 15 minutes. And so when that was the case, it was like, yeah, let's do this. Yeah. And that's really what provoked me to go for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to do that, I had to get sponsors.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
That was like my first thing. I was like, okay.
Welcome to Embers Only on iHeartRadio Orlando, brought to you by Corona Cigar Company. Step inside the luxury cigar lifestyle with our cigar.